Sorry, I missed the looking blue, like clean cut. Finally, I've been looking like a Neanderthal for the last probably like 3 months. So fresh haircut really feels a bit different. It's like you forget what it feels like yesterday. So it's very new. You did shave your head? When? Before you left? Oh, crazy. I guess you've always got a hat on, so I really don't know unless I see you in real life. Yeah. Yeah, it's solid. How you feeling before we jump in? How you feeling about finally getting back to that nomadic lifestyle you enjoy so much? hmm And to the point. I'll tell you. Yeah, I tell you what, that food you've been eating looks that's something to be desired for sure. Oh, I think yeah, yeah, I love that, dude. I think I starve myself so much that that would make me pretty just jealous and agitated, to be honest. Because sometimes at night, especially like if I'm hungry but I know I'm not going to eat anymore, Instagram will catch me looking through food. I look at food a lot on Instagram or recipes and ideas. And then I'll find myself just starved, but it's like a torture. It's a torture. Yeah, dude. I know, yeah. It's funny how that works. Mm. We're not gonna we're not gonna do this next week, right? Next week back to normal schedule, you think? Yeah. Okay. Just so y'all know. Oh yeah. Maybe so if you're watching us on YouTube, but you're not in our group SEO Roundtable on Facebook, get in there, search for SEO Roundtable or Sir Links a lot, and then join the group where we're the most active. And also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy the show. Sure, it's broad. What first comes to mind is kind of like topical clusters, or what people call silos, and really fleshing out the idea of what goes under the umbrella of specific niches or topics. Um, yeah. I'll, I not not in that way. So I would say that over the years, my idea of what a silo is definitely, I've modified it to kind of meet my own definition. But basically, like you said, silos historically had to do with the interlinking, keeping everything nice and tight. But I don't like that anymore. In an article, it makes sense to branch out to articles that maybe fit under different categories. So when I think about silos now, I picture it more how I categorize the structure of a website. What? Oh yeah, I can hear it now, dude. It reminds me of when I used to live in Malaysia as a child, and yeah, I remember the call to prayer coming on whenever I was watching. We got like English cartoons per day, and yeah, to get the call to prayer. Oh, it was kind of nice. That's fine. I think it has a little character, honestly. That's cool. It's kind of making me nostalgic. I hadn't thought about it in a long time, but living in Malaysia as a kid was some of the more exciting years of my childhood, really. There was a lot of really interesting stuff, and I mean, just a diverse cultural hub too. Um, Yeah, for sure. So yeah, back to silos. So when I think of a silo, I'm mainly just thinking of the way I use categories, because I mean, essentially, I'm always working with WordPress. So I'm thinking more so about what categories get set up, and then how specific topics are going to fall under all those categories. Now, that doesn't mean that I strategically keep interlinking within, like, contained within those categories, like articles in here only link within here. To me, that's an outdated idea, and I know, yeah, yeah, it's not for me. And I mean, I can't fault them if it's working for them. But to me, it doesn't feel natural. Hmm. Hmm. You know, um, at it, yeah. And then we talked about Link Whisper recently, which will, kind of speed that whole process up as well if you want. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, because when you think about crawlers, right, they're running the sitemap and they're kind of looking at how things are categorized based on how the sitemap's going to read. So, I mean, if you're placing things out categorically properly, then that's going to read, and it's going to have some kind of weight to it, I would think. But that's my thinking. Now, it's not really so much about silos, but I think it's worth mentioning right now. Something I've noticed since this last algo update is that it doesn't matter whether the page isn't orphaned, from what I've found. And I've tested this on a handful of sites where I had a page that was not orphaned. However, it was not in the menu. And as soon as I added it in the menu, indexation in the top 100 happened within the next 2 days. And I've seen that happen like 4 or 5 times now, which again, isn't like a strict test or anything, but I think it's the first time because I didn't notice that occurring previous to this algo update the way it is. Maybe some of y'all did, but this is new info to me. It's fine. That's kind of weird that it did that with a black shirt. Here's what I'm going to say. If Mueller's out there saying things are broken, if there's all this sort of chaos going on, then in my opinion, it's engineered. They can say whatever the hell they want. They can freak people out. I'm going to stay the course. And honestly, with my assets, I haven't noticed any kind of real hard hits or anything like that. Mm, yeah. Mm, relevance. Oh shoot. Yeah, I hear you fine, and I'm in Texas and you're in Turkey. I wonder if they're not getting some push and pull and it somehow. Mm. I think something worth mentioning, since we are talking about building out topical clusters, a lot of newer people especially are going to make the mistake of not properly looking which keywords are or which SERPs are requesting specific keywords and which ones are going to cause like keyword cannibalization if you build all these different pages out. So make sure that you're doing proper keyword research, looking at what um, SERPs have overlap in them, and making sure that these are all individual keywords that Google actually wants when we're talking about a topical cluster, right? Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of competing pages, which is going to impede your ability to get those ranked typically. So, I think so. Yep. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you know why I don't like the idea of siloing internal links just within a specific topic is because when we think about internal links, what we're helping with is crawlability. And if you are structuring things to only crawl within a specific subject matter, I feel like it's like limiting the crawlability of the site. But I guess it could also have its benefits in, internalizing that niche relevance too. But when I think about like real big websites like WebMD or something like that, it's kind of going all over. It's not specific to one medical topic. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think typically when I'm thinking about what's healthy for a site, I do think about trying to make crawlability as magnified as possible, really.
Oh my God. I didn't have my mic wasn't working the whole time.
I
It's
mean,
okay,
it
well the
sounded
good news is
fine.
it's working on the recording, maybe. Oh my God. Actually, I think it probably hasn't been. Anyway,
No, there's
we're
no
gonna have
way
to.
they
No,
wouldn't be
I
able to
just
hear you.
so someone said there is no sound.
Oh God. Ugh.
Nagita, can you hear me now? There was a problem with OBS, and I think that yeah, I think that it's working now. It looks like my microphone's working now. Oof, well that's rough. So anyway, sorry about that, guys. Like I said, there's going to be some kinks while I'm getting settled in this new location. So yeah, definitely let us know if there's any issues. Thank you for that. Um, all right, let's just go to the next question. We're gonna have to trash that one. Um,
I felt like we did a pretty decent job
we did
covering
do
it
a
too.
decent job, but that's yeah. All right. Let's see. Says, I have a question. If I made a backlink, does its results show up in Ahrefs immediately or take some time as Google? You can expect it to take longer to show results in Ahrefs than it will take for Google. But neither of them, it's like something, I struggled with when I was newer. It's like I would build links or whatever, and then I would just like check Ahrefs like every single day. I'm like, where's the link? Why is it not in Ahrefs? Why aren't my rankings moving in Ahrefs? Or like, why haven't my rankings in Google moved after I just built this link? Why aren't my rankings moving? And yeah, it just doesn't really work like that, right? It's kind of like more like all of your cumulative efforts, your links, your content, all the stuff you're doing together, they all just kind of start to snowball and kind of move in weird ways that you can't really predict. So it's like you build the link and you would like for it to just boost everything up right away. And sometimes it does. Sometimes they can move pretty quickly, right? But a lot of the times it's like kind of like you're at these like authority thresholds or whatever. And it's like, well, okay, I built one link, but let's say Google thinks you need like 20 links to really go to the next level or whatever. On top of, all the other stuff you're doing for your SEO, your technical, your on-page, all that, your content. So yeah, one link might not really do anything. Maybe when you get that 20th link though, maybe you get some crazy gains, right? But yeah, links, especially for newer sites, I feel like links can take a really long time to show up in Ahrefs, or if your site just doesn't have that many links to it, if it's not getting crawled that often by Ahrefs or whatever. But yeah, definitely longer. Do you have anything to add on that, Nick?
No, I mean, well, yeah, I guess so. If you are worried about that, what I would say is shift your focus. Don't worry about when it shows up in Ahrefs. It does not matter. It's not going to increase traffic to your site. It's not going to increase the amount of money you make. What
Yeah.
you'd want to worry about, if anything, is the indexation of that particular link. And when we talk about this a lot, when we say
If it's not a
that you'd
pillow
look
link.
for, if it's not a pillow link, correct? Yeah, if it's an authority link, then it's worthwhile. And even then, depending on what Google's doing, et cetera, or like, what Chris said as far as variables going into, how often your website is crawled, et cetera, it may take longer than you'd expect. So don't freak out. But yeah, you can check there every once in a while if, that's something that you're worried about. It'd be more proactive than looking in Ahrefs and worrying about whether it shows up in Ahrefs. Now, I know for some of you who maybe do some client SEO and the client's going to want to see things in Ahrefs, etc. I would probably attempt to shift their focus the same way that, I just kind of said as well. Look at Google indexation more so.
Yeah, I would try to educate them a little bit. I know it's painful, but it's part of your job is trying to retain that client is going to be um, explaining them, and you're not lying. It's not a lie. This is not how it works, sir. Um,
You think I don't know how it works? I've been in SEO 6 months now.
I've read a bunch of Google articles about SEO.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it used to really bother me that they didn't show up in Ahrefs or whatever. But yeah, in general, don't worry about it too much. You do what you keep doing what works. Just keep building good links, keep putting out good content, and it's gonna happen. You don't gotta stress about it. Showing up in Ahrefs or showing up in Google or your rankings moving immediately. Just because you get a link and your rankings don't jump right away doesn't mean that's a bad link. Everything kind of has to come together for some time for things to really move.
I'll say this too, that really your time in SEO and practicing all these maneuvers, etc., is going to be the only thing that gets you the confidence to get out of the mindset where you're constantly looking at Ahrefs, constantly checking indexation, constantly checking these minute details rather than the big picture. Once you have some success, you know what recipes get you to the big picture. For example, I don't check indexation of anything. I don't look in Ahrefs very often for assets that I'm building out. I use it as an auditing tool for other people's assets that maybe I'm looking through or to get ideas. But as far as, for my link building campaigns, et cetera, I have so much confidence at this point in what I'm doing, in the products that I'm using, et cetera, that, I'm coming in for every particular asset or money site I'm working on. At the beginning of the month, boom, 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 make my orders, move on with my life. And to some people, it may seem like I'm, maybe kind of glossing over some things like, what if the link doesn't ever get indexed? What if there are some bad links in there? I'm not preoccupied with it, to be honest with you, just based on the big picture of what I'm building. And it's got more to do with the ROI overall than these minute details that actually end up sucking up a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah, worrying about, going down these rabbit holes and worrying about all this dumb stuff that you don't need to worry about can end up really draining a bunch of time where, you could spend it instead of like really trying to get this link indexed or something, you could.
Yeah, it's like just order new ones.
Just wait for it to index. If it doesn't index, get a refund from your link provider or if you didn't buy it, if you built it on your own, then, just move on to the next one. And then, your time's just much better spent just moving forward, like building more links, writing new content, optimizing your old stuff, all that. All right. Sorry, 1 second. It says, I have a site, and in the beginning, I was posting on general health and fitness niche, but now I wanted to focus in the keto diet and calories. Should I start another site or just keep publishing on the old site? What do you think about that, Nick?
Keep it on that site. Remember the
Normally you hear about the other way. Normally this question's in reverse.
Yeah.
Normally they're started big and they want to go smaller. Wait, no, sorry. They started small and they want to go bigger. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, which actually I guess we could jump onto that question next too, the one that we first got. But the reason I would say keep it on this general health site that you've already been working on is because it's easier to power up one website, to focus on one business. A lot of SEOs, they start eating with their eyes. They start getting really excited about all these new keywords they found, all this new data they've got access to, and they start really fleshing out a whole lot of ideas that end up becoming, oftentimes the demise of their entire business model because nothing really gets the focus it needs in order to grow. When we talk about how we build topical clusters, which is a question we just kind of did, but y'all, I guess, didn't hear, health is the umbrella. it makes sense to be able to talk about a keto diet under the umbrella of health, right? Like all of that is niche down, it's relevant. And yeah, I would think it's worthwhile to keep it together, especially if you're building backlink campaigns, you're consistently adding content. It's going to be easier to turn that into an authority site that's niche down over general, health relevance. But if you quote, silo, kind of how we were talking about, where you're using categories to build out topical clusters under the entire umbrella of health, then I think the best recourse of action for you would be to keep everything under the same website.
Just as
Yeah.
like an example, you can think about it like this. So a lot of people, when they start a new website, they like to build on a H domain or an expired domain, a
Hmm.
previously used domain. And if someone wanted to make a keto website, I mean, if they could find an old keto website and build it on that domain, of course, that would be great. That's as specific as you can get. However, what normally ends up happening is they'll buy a more general health site or a fitness site like you're talking about and build the keto site on top of that. And people do that all day.
Yeah.
So, you're kind of thinking about doing that except without buying the domain. You already have the domain. So I would say you could definitely do it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, and let's think about this, right? What if you get in there, you've built out this whole website about keto diet, which is pretty specific, really, and then you realize, oh, the traffic I thought was there and the profits I thought were there just aren't there, or it's too competitive for me at this level to be able to compete with the big dogs. Well, then you are going to have a harder time breaking out into maybe other health-related keywords that would be more accessible, help you build out topical relation to something like health. And then eventually you could come back to the topic of keto when you're, more competitive, more authoritative with your website, et cetera. Versus if you start more general, then you can, kind of branch out versus if you're, kind of narrow with your what your website's about.
Yep. Yeah. So my vote, or I guess our vote, is to keep publishing on the old site.
Yeah.
I think it should be just fine.
Hmm.
Let's see what else we got.
Assuming the old site is working well.
Yeah. I guess we can do this one.
It's kind of related, right? And we can finally put a picture up.
So this was a kind of strange post we had in our group. So it says SEO challenge. You take on a new site where the homepage ranks for service A keyword. You can't rank for service B or C because Google has pegged you as service A company. Service A page isn't ranking well despite SEO efforts. How do you get service A page to rank so you can free up the homepage? And yeah, I guess I'll pull up the pictures real quick. Just give me 1 second. It's coming soon, I promise. All right. So this was the first picture he had. So basically, he's got one of his services, which is service A, is ranking on his homepage currently, but he wants it so that the service ranks on a inner page instead of the homepage. And then he has this other picture. So this is picture number 2. Yeah, and so you've got the umbrella or parent keyword ranking on the homepage, and you've got service A ranking down there on an inner page, service B, service C. So me and Nick were talking about this for a second beforehand, and I guess the first thing I would say is that I feel like there's not any non-painful way to do this.
Yeah.
You're gonna confuse Google. You're completely kind of redoing what your site's about, and it's really going to take some time for Google to adjust to these changes, right? Um, and
Yeah, I would
so
think so,
let me see what he
especially in like
says
a
here.
competitive niche.
Yeah. It says you take a new site where the home page ranks for can't rank service B or C because Google's paying you service A company.
So put simply, he's got, let's say, 3 services. The homepage is ranking for one service, but he wants to rank for the other two, which are not ranking, correct?
Uh,
That's what he said?
he also says service B and service C aren't ranking because they think
Mm-hmm.
he's only about service A, which is on the home page.
Mm,
And I guess that could cause some problems, but it could also be caused by other stuff as well. Like maybe you just don't
yeah.
have the topical authority around this other stuff. Maybe there's other things that weren't quite done right for service B or service C. It's really hard to tell without seeing this kind of thing. But sorry, what were
Yeah,
you
because I'm
saying?
trying to think of like automatically my mindset goes to a local website. I picture a
Yeah,
plumber,
yeah,
right? And I'm thinking, okay, so let's say toilet clogs or something is the what the homepage is about, for lack of a better idea, or something specific. But um, maybe I'm just not thinking about it properly because the homepage would typically just be about the main cluster, unless, like what we were talking about last time, the original designer of the site was too specific
yeah.
with what they were going after, and now they want to broaden out a
Let's just
little
pretend
bit.
that's the case.
Um, right? It's easier to talk about.
Hmm.
So, uh, like Chris said, it is going to be painful, but essentially what you'd want to do is, yeah, de-optimize the homepage, create the new service inner page, which would fall under the umbrella of the services page, I guess. And then, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to go through some volatility, and you're going to have to make sure that the homepage is, about the broader topical cluster than what the services are supposed to be about.
Another thing is, I would, of course, you're gonna, make the content on the homepage reflect the new keyword you want to rank for, as well as the on-page optimizations. Same on service page A, right? But also something
Hmm.
really I would do is hit your interlinking hard. So make sure you have a link from
Yep.
your homepage going to service page A that's contextual, using like the big keyword as the anchor, the main keyword. And then likewise from all your service pages, but service page A as well, link up back up to your homepage with whatever the parent keyword is. And then make sure in any kind of supporting content you have, you're linking to service page A, like, just really using the main keyword and variations of the keyword to just really show Google as much as you possibly can from every page possible on your site. Not every page where it makes sense, but you know what I mean. I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit. Just you're really trying to show them as much as possible with your interlinks. And then you're going to want to build some backlinks to service page A and using I'm not going to say just use a bunch of exact match anchors, because you need to practice anchor diversity when you're building backlinks. But of course, you're going to want to build some backlinks to service page A with some exact match and variations of the keyword and the anchor, as well as all the other natural stuff. Um, what would you think about links that were built to the homepage, Nick, uh, and having them
That are real
yeah,
specific.
that were like kind of, an anchor text or whatever for service page A pointing to the home page. Would you ever think about having those changed, if possible?
No, zero,
What if
zero
they were like
interest
pillow
ever.
links, like citations or
No.
something like
Oh,
that?
well, I mean, technically your citations should be done properly then, right? Because it'd be branded, kind
Hmm.
of generic information pointed at the homepage about whatever topical cluster. Now, if you did get specific with it, so long as it falls under the same umbrella, I wouldn't worry about it too much, because my guess is there'd be ability within an algorithm to differentiate when a link showed up and then when there was a design change to how the website, kind of flows or whatever. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about historical stuff that's happened. Kind of the same as I, don't worry too much about the the way I reuse an age domain. Sometimes I'm very specific with what I reuse the historical backlinks for, and sometimes I'm more general and repurposing those backlinks in a completely different way. So yeah, no, it's not something I would worry. I think best recourse of action in most cases, especially if you're unsure, is to move forward with whatever you're doing. And just imagine that you are a new person, you've restructured the way this site works, and now the campaign is dedicated to promoting what you've done, right?
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, you
yeah.
should definitely be aware that there's going to be some pain. You're probably going to lose the rankings for service page A. Google's not just going to automatically start.
If it's if it's competitive. Now, if it's like a small local niche website in a small metro, depending on your competition there, maybe it won't create that much volatility. But typically that's not what most people are working on.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what we got next.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the show.
Yes, like, comment, and subscribe.
We need to get to that 1,000 YouTube followers so we can monetize for 2 cents a month.
We're almost there. Gonna be making the big money
Yeah.
soon.
Big money.
All right. Hey guys, can you stuff keywords into GMB titles, or should it always be the company name? I'm gonna have the lame Google endorsed answer on this question and say you should always be the company name. They've been really cracking down on GMB like lately again. There was a crackdown wave a couple years ago or something. I can't really remember when it was, but maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And then lately, like right now, I think there's another kind of GMB crackdown happening where they're really just like banning pages left and right, and people having to go and appeal it and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. The appeals seem to work okay. I'm dealing with one site that has a lot of those old GMBs, and every once in a while they'll get taken down. And I'm talking about old GMBs, as in the ones that you could just go and order. But yeah, I hate dealing with all that automated crap from back in the
Yeah.
day.
And we haven't really done local SEO for quite some time now, but I do we just try to stay a little,
I still
update.
do some.
You do a little. Um,
Oh well, yeah.
but yeah, so basically, keywords in your business name on GMB, it does help. But you run the risk of Google slapping you down. Your keyword stuffing in a very important place, and I definitely would not advise doing it if it's not your business name. That being said, if you can make the business name have keywords in it, then that's good. Every now and then someone will post a funny meme where they find like a dentist or whatever that's actually named Dentist Near Me, or something like that. So yeah, if you can actually get keywords in your business name somehow, then it's cool to do it, and it'll probably help you out.
Yeah.
But can't really recommend you keyword stuff if it's not actually in the business name.
EMD, PMD, exact match domain, partial match domain, my favorite ways to build any website, local or national, international. Because, yeah, you are essentially, quote, stuffing, at least part of the niche relevance within the main signal to Google about what your site's about, the URL, or the domain name itself. If you can get, let's say it's about plumbers in whatever city, tomtheplumber.com or whatever is going to have more relevance than Tom's whatever services that are not related. And then you can get away with injecting some more of that into citations, backlinks in general, GMBs, whatever. One thing to note, though, if you're talking about keyword stuffing, what comes to my mind is stuff that was maybe kind of useful 10 years ago, where it's Tom the Plumber, plumbing best services for plumbing, for toilets, kitchen, like you're just really trying to shove too much into the title, into the
Or even just like,
everything.
even if just like the
Keep it
business
simple.
name is like Tom's Plumbing, even if you do like Tom's
Yeah,
Plumbing or
it's great.
Dallas or something,
Yeah,
you're adding a keyword. Uh,
yeah. But that's not stuffing, right? Like
yeah,
that's
you
just
are
injecting your keywords
it's
properly
injecting,
in
it's not
there,
stuffing.
right? One time, plumbing Dallas, tomsplumbingdallas.com versus,
Oh, you're saying I was
keyword
okay.
stuffing would be
Yeah,
tomsplumbingdallas.com, best plumbing Dallas,
okay.
Fresno, or whatever, whatever other cities come. You've seen them. We've all seen them. Websites that aren't ranking too well, and you see these giant titles, and that's either with the actual money site or with the GMB or any particular asset associated with it. Yeah, don't. If the word stuffing comes to your mind, just get it out of your head. It's not natural. It's not a good thing to do.
But yeah, best advice is stay away from it. Unless you're working on a project and it's just your project and it's not a client and you're aware that you could cause some problems with your GMB, you could go ahead and put some keywords in your GMB business name if you want, but be aware that there are risks. It can help you, but yeah, there's definitely risks. Um, all right, let's see what we got next. Yeah, guys, got any questions? Just drop them in the chat. Like always, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Join us in Facebook, the SEO Roundtable. What am I looking for? Here we go.
Questions.
All right. How do I rank for a keyword that I am not allowed to use in any sentence or headline? I thought that was kind of
Huh.
a funny.
Not allowed to use.
Well,
Banned words.
I don't think, I was thinking more along the lines of it's a client and they don't, or they are working as part of a team. And so, for
Okay.
example, Plumber Houston, that does not make sense in any sentence really. It just doesn't make grammatical sense. So whoever is, the marketing lead or whatever, they might just say, no, you can't put that on the website. Like you can't do it like that. They want it to
Okay,
be a
sure.
certain way or whatever. That's what I got from it. Um,
Yeah, I'm trying to think
what
of
else could it
different
be?
ways. Well, I can think of one time where I was dealing with, I guess I'll openly talk about realtors in Texas, and then the Texas Association of Realtors or whatever started making up these bullshit rules about if you're not a broker, you can't have the term realtor or real estate in any
Okay.
asset that you have online. And that created quite the for lack of a better word, clusterfuck, which really just agitated me with the entire thing. Because yeah, they threw this on to these realtors, and it wasn't just about their main domain, but every asset associated with that domain, meaning citations that were indexed, whatever, could be found, and not only found to penalize you in some kind of mundane way, but I think it was like $500 per day for infraction or some insane, stupid stuff based on something that they can't even prove was made by the realtor if it's away from the URL itself. But anyhow, I guess that's one thing that comes to mind or hit kind of close to home with this question. And the way I had to go about it was literally going back through everything we built for those for that particular website with in terms of citations, et cetera, and removing those words from there, which was a lot of really just dumb work if you think about it, and then taking that old domain and then 301ing it to a new one that met the criteria that was okay for them. Then ranking really just it becomes different in the sense that you're going to have to inject more of that relevance through the content that you're creating, right? So the titles of the articles within the umbrella, which is probably going to be branded or something like that now, and not give any relevance to what you're doing, or um, Oh yeah, so I had to 301 it, change things up there, and then of course, by using your anchors
Yeah.
in backlinks to supply that
Yeah.
relevance as well.
So that's all
But
you
typically,
do
what you'll find
to
is you need
to get
more,
back.
right,
Yeah, so to get back to the
than
question,
what you
yeah,
did.
you just, try to get close to it if you can, get
Hmm.
close to it, or use like kind of related words, if you're allowed to do that. And then, your anchor text, so your links from other websites pointing to that page. You could use some exact match anchors and some exact match anchor variations. Um, that's all you can really do, right? You could also,
Yeah.
you could
Yeah.
also images on the page if you wanted to like, but I don't know how much this is going to, this is kind of like a small little tweak, but you could, so you could have like your image names, the images that you have on that page, you could rename them to have like the keyword in them, or it could, in the alt tags for the images, you could add the keywords in there. Um,
You think that's
no,
gonna, how
I'm just
much,
saying, I'm just trying to think of every
I've
possible thing they
had
could
arguments
possibly
with
do.
people about that.
Uh, you know,
Yeah, yeah, right.
people,
Yeah. How do you inject more relevance into, a branded domain versus a partial match or exact match
I
domain?
still see image optimization and not talking about speed, but actual like alt tags and names and stuff.
Yes,
I
Jesus.
still see
Yeah.
that listed on a lot of people's lists of like things you got to do. And I wouldn't say don't do it. It's definitely best practice to do it. I just feel like it's such a small thing. But,
Yeah, you
you
don't have to
know,
take it incredibly serious as far as I've seen,
But
but
we're talking
I
about a weird
typically will try
situation
and
here.
change stuff.
We're talking about something weird, and he can't do all this shit. So we're talking about everything you can possibly do to try to
Yeah,
try to rank for that keyword on that page. So yeah,
right.
you can inject it in some of your image names or in the alt text for the images. We said anchor text, um, and yeah, try maybe you can't use the exact keyword, but trying to get as close as you can in the content if possible. Anything else you can think of?
Not really. I mean, it's kind of a vague question where all we can do is go off our imagination. I mean, I can't think of another
Okay, so also for building
case.
backlinks, it doesn't have to be just the anchor text. So, for example, if the keyword was like Plumber Dallas, you could get a guest post written and have Plumber Dallas not just in the anchor text, but in like the URL of the guest post article. So, like the article could be like what to look for when you're getting a plumber, Dallas. And that could actually be in the
Yeah.
URL and it could also be in the linking pages like title or whatever. So it doesn't have to be just the anchor text. You can hammer that relevance in other ways when you're getting backlinks as well. Um, but yeah, I can't really think of much more than that.
I'm trying to rank for a curse word with this corporate website. Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think we, those are the only ones I can imagine.
Cool. All right. Let's see what we got next. Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left, it looks like. We did get a late start, and the first question we didn't even really answer. I guess we could go answer that
We
first
did
question
answer.
again.
It was
I don't really feel like it, though.
I mean, yeah, we went over it pretty. I mean, it's an easy ass question to answer, but yeah, I feel like every time you try and do something the second time, it comes out worse than the free flowing first
For
time.
sure. How many billable hours does it take someone with experience to optimize a 2,000 word blog article in Surfer? Thanks in advance. Um,
Uh, there's a lot of variables that are going to go into,
yeah,
that in that, let's say it's a very basic affiliate article about products that are easily found on the internet. It's easily digestible, and whereas I saw a question earlier today, like if Surfer says you need this amount, then do you need to make sure that you've got exactly that amount? The answer is no, right? So long as you're being kind of general and using the Surfer guidelines as a kind of way to paint this narrative, if it's simple information, I would say, you give them two. 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe. It also depends how long they've been doing it and how used to the topics they are, or how used to the topics and how used to Surfer itself.
And it depends
You
like
know,
how far off the article is. So like,
yeah,
for
that too.
example, I just redid our free backlinks article, and it was from where Surfer wanted it to be. It was way off. Like it needed
Right.
a lot added to it, like a lot of new content written, a lot of new sections added. So if they're having to do something like that, it could take considerably longer, like 2, 3 times, 4 times as long, as if you know, compared to if they just had to go in and do some little tweaks and whatever. Like if the article is close and they just have to go and kind of mess around, adding some keywords here and there, and messing with some headings or whatever, like you could really do it in like less than an hour if it was already pretty close,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah. Some articles might not take much time at all. Yeah.
yeah, and then like Nick was saying, 2 to 3 hours is what I would expect if it's a pretty decent amount of work they got to do, but not like crazy. But then if the article is like our article and it's way off and it's way old and there's just so much new information now that needs to be added to it, then you're looking at it's almost like writing a new article, really.
Right.
Um, so yeah, and then Nick made a good point as well about how difficult the article is. So if the worker is not familiar with the subject matter, it's going to take considerably longer than if they actually know what all the stuff is. Like if they're
Right.
really if it's about plumbing or whatever, and they're experts on plumbing, they'll be able to go in and just pump in the keywords exactly where they need to be in no time at all, right? But if they don't
Hmm.
know anything about plumbing, if they're a computer programmer, they're not going to know any of this stuff, right? So it could
Right.
just end up taking longer. So yeah, you're gonna kind of have to gauge it. It's a conversation you'll have to have with your optimizer or your writer or your VA, whatever you want to call them, and try to kind of figure it out from there. The best thing, you have to, what is that saying? You have to be able to inspect what you
Inspect what you
expect.
expect.
So basically, like go
I
go
love that
in
saying.
and do one or two yourself. Do it
Yeah.
yourself. See how long it takes, and then if someone's saying it's going to take way longer, you'd be like, no, dude, like that doesn't take that long. Or maybe it does take them that long, and you need to find someone that can do it quicker, right? Or
Right.
maybe you want to give them the time to learn and kind of build them up as an employee. It just really depends on how you want to
Hmm.
handle it at that point. But I like being able to do things myself and kind of judge it from there. Otherwise, you're kind of just shooting into the shooting darts. What was this saying?
Shooting into the
Yeah, shooting
dark.
in the dark. Okay.
I mean, well, I don't know what darts, but yeah, yeah, dark sounds good. Yeah, I just had something.
We're gonna give Nick a second.
I'm gonna need it. Um, it was actually pretty decent.
I bet it was real smart.
Well, okay, yeah, sure. Not all people that move through tasks like this quickly are going to give you the level of quality work you want either. So, like Chris is saying about inspecting the elements that you wish to have, um, maybe there's somebody that comes in, can optimize things via Surfer in like 30 minutes. However, it's really half-assed. It's stuffing keywords in there to make things green, etc., versus somebody that takes a couple of hours but is very articulate with what they're saying, is actually developing this content into something that somebody might read, find interest and use for, etc., right? And when you think about that, then think about your return on your investment, right? Like not just the initial gratification of, oh, I only had to pay for half an hour or an hour for this to get done and I'm done with it, but rather the quality of what you're getting. And sometimes letting the person that's going to take a little bit more time to be meticulous with that subject matter is going to be way more worthwhile than just trying to save a few pennies on the dollar. Especially, if we're thinking about affiliate income, we're talking about residual income. So the foundation that you build, what you actually put out there, is going to resonate in more long-term cash for you typically. So, that's something else to consider.
Yes, sir. Um, let's go ahead. We got one more. Um, one second. So they're saying, which is the best way to earn money with SEO? Client SEO, affiliate SEO, rank and rent, blogging. But there's actually more than that. And this doesn't really answer the question per se, because there's not really a best way. It's going to depend on you, really, right? Each one has its positives and negatives. But I did a poll, I think it was last week. Let me find it real quick, where I asked people how they were monetizing their websites. Here we go. Let me pull that up. All right, so yeah, here are the results for the poll in our Facebook group, which is the SEO Roundtable. Definitely join us in there. We're in there every single day answering questions, posting content, all that good stuff. So definitely join us on Facebook at the SEO Roundtable. But yeah, so how your website's monetized is about 30% or 29% affiliate, 35% ads, 16% e-com, 14% lead gen, and 4% course consulting or digital product. We got no local, or no one voted for local in here.
It's pretty interesting, really.
Yeah. I know we do have some local people in the group. Maybe they just didn't vote in the poll out of shame. I don't know. But I know we have at least a few that are asking local questions in there from time to time, and the questions we get on Livestream as well. But yeah, it just looks like from our group, the most popular ones are affiliate and ads. Yeah, lead gen. I really don't know anyone who's doing much lead gen these days. Do you know anyone that's really doing lead gen?
Well, kind of interesting. This yesterday, I had to call a plumber out to help with something around the
Hmm.
house, and so I'm new to the city. I don't know anybody, so I called the plumber via Google search, and I came to find that the company I called, which is a huge company that's got national rankings with their website, etc., basically has contractors that they bring in and then they get royalties from, etc. So, I don't know them personally, but it's kind of interesting that I interacted with a website doing just that, passing leads. Now, they've got it contracted where these people are tied to them exclusively, but the business model probably started out a whole lot more simply, which I, kind of liked imagining the conceptualization of, I guess. But yeah, that would be the only person I've recently interacted with, that had some kind of lead gen going on that I can think of. Um, I'm sure if we think about it, we do know substantially more that are.
Were all the options on here that the question had asked? Client, affiliate, rank and rent. It's kind of like lead gen.
Oh,
I think it's like blogging.
yeah. Well, rank and rent is what I mean, like, that's kind of what I think of when I think of lead gen. Like this company that I called, to me, the person that set it up, the person that built that company had the rank and rent model, in their mindset.
Mhm.
Um, Back to the question, what I think is important, that a lot of SEOs don't do is a lot about how you end up building your business, a lot about where you're going to end up going with the knowledge of learning how SEO works is going to be tied directly to who you are and who you're connected to and what you do and how you like to
Yeah,
operate.
how you like to
Um,
operate.
right. Because when I first started SEO, my mindset was more like this question: where is the money at? Where do I go to increase my gains as quickly as possible? Right. I want to turn this into a business, but majority of the places I started out were failures, because they weren't like strategically prepared through networks that I have, through ability that I have to maybe help somebody else's company with SEO, or maybe I don't really know anybody, or I'm kind of a hermit, and then affiliate SEO makes more sense. Where you're going to make the most money is where you yourself as a person operate the
Well, so to
best.
help them
Where
to
you,
help them choose that, let's go ahead and go through these real quick, and we can just give some positives and negatives, all right? So
okay.
affiliate, you don't have a boss, you don't have clients. Those are obviously pluses. You don't have to deal with inventory. You don't have to deal with customer service. Um, those are all very awesome things, right? Negatives, it's normally pretty competitive. You're dealing, you're normally ranking for these big terms that are, national or international, and it's gonna usually it's a little bit more competitive than a plumber in a small city somewhere. Someone doing client SEO or whatever. Um, any more positives or negatives for affiliate?
Yeah, negative being that your commissions are going to be pretty low in comparison to a lot of other things you can do, like e-com or lead
Yeah.
generation, depending on the niche, etc.
Yep, lower commissions. But if you go out and you negotiate with your affiliate partners, you could potentially get higher commissions. But yeah, generally lower than if you were to stock the inventory yourself, right?
Yeah.
Then we have ads, and ads is actually something I've
It's not SEO, first off,
well, you
but
rank your website with SEO. You rank your website with SEO, then you have display ads on your site.
oh, okay.
Display
Sorry, I was
ads.
thinking. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah, you were thinking like PPC or something.
yeah.
Um, and it's actually this is something I've honestly neglected for a very long time. But I know a lot of people. I feel like there's a lot of people are putting more focus on ads these days. Even if it's in conjunction, maybe their site is monetized with both ads and affiliate stuff. Maybe they use ads on certain pages and affiliate offers on others. But I know there's a lot of people making really good money with ad sites these days. It's
Yeah.
just something I just never have really. I've always been more, on the affiliate path for whatever reason. It's just something I never really looked into as deep as I should have. But it's definitely a thing. Um,
I mean, running ads though, to like an affiliate site, it's more so like on everything that I work on, like there are ads running, right? But the main focus is going to be getting people to these specific topics, like with buyer intent. And then the ads are there, maybe for those people that are kind of more scatterbrained that might click on something, etc. But I've always noticed that based on doing campaigns the way I do, the ad revenue is more an afterthought to the initial structure of the website, right? But if you've got space in the header, footer, or sidebar, then why wouldn't you, either throw a couple of, affiliate ads up there or display ads, or, offer it up depending on the affiliate you use. You might be able to, get a bidding kind of situation for specific ad space as well. Your intention should just be to raise up that money as best you can. But on the opposite token, yeah, there are some people that go after specifically just informational topics that drive a ton of traffic with no buyer intent that then exclusively, eat off of the ads. But I've never built a website like that,
yeah,
to be
I
honest.
haven't either, but I've been looking into it a little bit more these days, and it's definitely a thing. One of
Yeah.
the downsides to ads that you don't have with affiliate is that a lot of these big ad networks like Mediavine or whatever,
Mm,
they will require you to have something like 30,000 page views per month
yeah.
before you're even allowed to sign on. I might be getting that a little bit
Hmm.
wrong, but it was a pretty high amount. And so a lot of times they'll go with like these other kind of crappier networks before you can get on to like the big boys. But yeah, so
But
you're just like affiliate, you're going to be competing for national or international keyword terms. It's going to be kind of competitive. You're going to have to have a lot of content written, and then even to get onto some of these big ad networks, you got to really, have a considerable amount of content and rankings for them to even put their ads on your website to make any money off of it.
and even then, sometimes you're not guaranteed to get in it. Like I've had huge websites that I've applied to certain affiliates with before that were, automatically going to create money, and we're definitely over the traffic threshold. But for whatever reason, the tools they use, or the way that they have operators looking at these sites, you might have to push and pull a little bit harder. For Avant Link, I actually had to contact a random distributor that I knew was under that umbrella to contact his rep to then allow me access after being denied, but no real reason or explanation for why. And on that site, it had over 30,000 traffic as well. So it literally made no sense.
Lots of fun automated systems. All right, next we got ecom. Would you, so yeah, we got ecom. Um,
Money.
yeah, ecom, you can make money with ecom.
Well, I'm saying like if you're selling a product and then you know how to rank a website and you know how to be number one of selling that product, there's not really anybody that's going to profit more than that, right?
So
I
the
mean, like you are literally the master of your own
I can think of some downsides though.
situation. Hmm.
You have to deal with customer service stuff.
Yes.
You have to deal with warehousing, and you have to
Space, yeah.
deal with and making an investment into inventory costs.
Hmm.
Um,
I'll say this, the only time I went into ecom, it failed miserably. And that was pretty recently. So, I think the website started off affiliate, right? And then, of course, I found a way to break into ecom based off of, some data I was monitoring within the website. And long story short, those negatives that Chris was just talking about definitely came into play to the point where it just didn't work out. However, I will attempt it again at a later time with better knowledge and understanding of what to do and what not to do. But I would think it's a bit more advanced and definitely more complex because, yeah, you're bringing the website into the real world, which kind
yeah,
of changes things.
yeah, ecom is like it's very real world. You know, it's like
Yeah,
it's not like this imaginary internet game that you're playing with like affiliate or
right.
ads or whatever. It's like a completely
Hmm.
different thing.
Yeah,
Um,
then you got to talk to your in-person automation, etc.
yeah.
And yeah, that stuff,
So yeah, it definitely takes
it's its own
a little
thing.
bit of a different skill set, some things that some people might not like. But like Nick was saying, you could also, if you're able to learn all of these things and you're able to figure it out essentially, then, you could end up making a lot higher profit
Yeah, or
margins
or
on this
maybe
stuff.
Yeah, or maybe like, you're a company that doesn't know much about SEO or kind of has a brief understanding, but you could, really, you've been doing the opposite, which is real world business for, 10 plus years. You really got it down. Learn SEO and you're really going to up that profit margin, as soon as you start figuring out recipes to ranking.
So next up, we got lead gen. Lead gen, essentially, usually talking about like local services, and you
Hmm.
rank a website. You rank a local website, let's say
Oh,
for a plumber in Houston, and then the leads that come in, you could sell them off to someone else, or you could rent out your website essentially. You could either like rent out the website to someone, or you could like actually funnel the leads to them and keep track of them yourself in that kind of way.
mhm.
What were you gonna say?
I think we actually know two people that have huge lead gen campaigns. Acquaintances, but yeah, two people in our industry that are, in our niche that lead gen is the main thing that they do. Even though they're in public focus like we are, sort of. Whereas we do affiliate, yeah, I know that they do lead gen. Um, but like on a, very large national scale.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I mean, definitely money is there. The thing that's bothered me about lead gen is the idea is the whole idea of finding people to sell the leads to.
It
I've
sucks.
never done it myself, so I can't really say too much about it. But just even thinking about it, I'm like, that would suck, because
It sucks.
you're dealing with like
It's so bad.
non-SEO or like non-marketing people. You're dealing with, if it's like a local service-based company, they're probably gonna be kind of like blue collar folks or whatever. Or you'd have to sell it for pennies on a dollar to some kind of like bigger company who, sells leads. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I just wouldn't like that. But,
with
sorry, go ahead.
with rank to rinse early on, because I thought that would be the fastest way to money. And it definitely was not. I just it's something that I tried out. I remember oftentimes giving like a month away for free, where, I've got a tracking number. I can see whether your business is doing well or not. And these people, they've got a different mindset about business. It's not data driven a lot of times. So you can try and explain things to them. You can try and show them hardline data, but they've got trust issues with the internet, or especially if you go more blue collar with some of these things you're trying to drive, then you really need to get, like very good at sales calls. Emails maybe, but sales calls are the way these blue collar guys operate for the most part. And in order to gain their trust, you're going to have to really work at script writing. You're going to have to learn how to speak the language of the people that you're trying to sell. And so that becomes a whole other endeavor that you've got to take on if you try and do lead gen or rank to rent or stuff like that.
Yeah, and so we can kind of just go down the local from this one, and local is going to have a lot of the same kind of pitfalls or whatever. You're basically
Hmm.
you're having to deal with people who know nothing about SEO. You're having to do lots of like sales type stuff. Talking to people on the phone or in person even,
Hmm.
or in emails. Probably a decent amount of like contacting these people cold. Um, I worked for a company where we had to do cold calls, and
Yeah, we
so
both sucked.
I would just rather die than having to do that kind of stuff again. I could do it. I could do it.
Yeah,
I
but
just really, really, really don't want to.
same.
And so, yeah, just affiliate or ads just seems so much nicer to me. Just
Yeah.
but the positives of local are local sites are generally, in general, easier to rank if someone that knows what they're doing is working on them. Um, they don't take quite as the same amount of resources to rank. Um, what other positive?
If
There's a good amount of money in it. These
yeah.
especially depending on what niche you're in, but a lot of these guys, they're willing to pay lots of money to be able to rank.
A
Um,
roof on a house costs, 15 to 30 grand on average, I think, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
You think about, generating 1 to 3 leads for people that do that. If they're serious people and they understand what you're doing for them, you can really help build out a local business and give them a leg up over all the competition, in their immediate area, which is going to be huge for them. And we're talking about a huge generation of money as well. And if you know that and they know that, then you can build a symbiotic relationship that'll help both people, right? Now, let's touch on this. If you've got the option to start out, because essentially, when you're talking about local and lead gen, oftentimes you're talking about the same kind of startup, right? If you're newer to SEO, I would say you go after, well, newer, but you understand SEO, you've ranked a couple websites, you're not just like going out and getting clients, right? But if you know how
Hey,
to
that's what I
do
did.
it, well, yeah, I think that's what we all did, but you're not supposed to. Now, if you've got the option, then I would say rank to rent always kind of seems more interesting to the majority of people that I talk to, but local is the way to go because you're going to get your money up front, right?
That's
You're not going to
true.
exhaust a bunch of your
Yeah,
resources building up a
that's such a
website
huge
that then
plus.
is a pain in the ass to sell leads off
That
of.
is
It's
such a
better to build somebody else's brand. They're emotionally invested into it. You're getting the money up front.
yeah.
You're taking profits, and then if something goes wrong, well, at least it wasn't a complete bust. Versus rent to rent, you're exhausting a lot up front, and you've got to stay tenacious in order to get it monetized.
Yeah, as much as we talk shit about local, how much I do not want to do local, there's definitely a couple of huge pluses. The amount of money in local,
Hmm.
there's just an almost limitless amount of money that's there. People who want to
Yep.
be number one who are not,
Hmm.
you can contact all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what Nick just said, well, the kind of the lower competition thing. Of course, I think local sites are easier to learn on. They're just smaller. There's just less to do. You got to learn like some extra stuff like GMB and stuff, but whatever. I feel like
Simple.
it's not an issue.
Yeah.
And then, but maybe the most important thing was what Nick just said, which was, um, for example, if you're doing an affiliate site and you're new, you're going to have to make an investment. You're going to have to make a massive time investment and probably money investment too. And it being your first site, you could just fail. You could just it could just not work, and you could just lose
Hate
thousands
to
of
say
dollars
it,
and hours.
most likely your first experiment with SEO is going
Yeah,
to kind of fail.
or
Or
not
just
not
not
go too
be,
great.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so what Nick said with the local site, you get paid up front. They pay you every month.
Right,
So you're basically you're getting paid to do SEO rather than having to do SEO for free and hoping it's going to pay out one day.
right.
So huge plus for local there.
Yeah, local's the only one
And
where
the,
you get that, right? With the initial investment.
uh,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, ecom you need to make a big investment.
Hmm.
Um, Lead gen, but I mean that's pretty much local too.
Well, but lead gen,
Um,
you're doing the upfront cost.
that's true. Yeah. So lead gen is like local, except you're ranking. You have to rank it before you get any money. Whereas
Hmm.
local, you just get the money. You could just not know any SEO at all. Now I'm not condoning that, but you could not know any SEO at all, land a client, get paid, and not
We are
rank
not
anything.
condoning
Not
that.
condoning.
Okay. All right.
Just saying. Um, All right, and then we'll go to the last one, course, consulting, or digital product. Basically just selling some kind of digital thing, which I'm actually kind of a little bit surprised that not more people are doing that because I've actually never done it myself. But
How
the
many of you
profit is
out
like
there would buy our
the profit
service?
is like 100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like
Once you make it.
infinite. You create the digital thing, and then it's just you can replicate it as many times as you want, right? So you don't have to, it's just the time that it took you to make it. Or if you put any money into making it maybe, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just a little bit surprised that not more people are doing that, but I guess I can't be too surprised since I've never actually done it myself.
Definitely.
We kind of toy around with the idea of like selling a course at some point.
We've really just
But
given all the info away for free on here. I mean,
yeah, if you
it
just go watch all of our YouTube videos, you got the course essentially, read all our
basically, yeah, I would
articles.
think so, right?
It would just be a packaging thing because
Yeah.
especially when someone's just starting, they really need it like streamlined, like in order,
Yeah.
uh,
That's why I
really
really,
just like talking
yeah.
in a certain way and
Hmm.
just really explaining things. So it'd be a little bit different, but all the information is there for free. But anyway, I definitely am leaning towards like affiliate and the ads type stuff. I could see maybe dabbling in some like e-com or like Amazon FBA kind of stuff at some point. But I just really like the idea of not having to deal with anything. Basically, just rank a website, right? And then you deal with your affiliate partners or your ad network. Um, yeah, so there's not really any best way. It comes down to preferences a lot. You can make a ton of money doing any of this stuff, right? Just
Or go
really
flat
depends
broke
on.
trying. Not
Well, yeah,
to be the
unless
negative
you do
Nancy,
client SEO,
Well,
then you always get paid, right?
well, yeah, so long as you do a decent job, that can go awry in the long run. If you're not a very honorable SEO.
Sure, sure. Um, all right, guys.
Wow,
Hey,
that
Nihal, how are you
question
doing, man?
was rather we got pretty expansive for, it being kind of a simple idea at first.
Yeah, we went over, but hey, we missed the first question
Oh, it was
anyway, so we
good.
had to make up for it a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and call it there. Slow day. We changed from Wednesday to Thursday because I wasn't quite set up yet. Yeah, so we got through some of our backlog today. But yeah, thanks for showing up. Hopefully we answered some of these questions for you guys. Like always, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And join us on Facebook, the SEO Roundtable. We're in there every single day answering questions, posting tips. And sometimes Nick even gets a little bit flirty. So, um, and he did just get a haircut.
Yeah, well,
So,
both me and Chris need to get out into the wild a little bit. We've been hermits for a few years, so yeah, it's time.
all right, guys. So yeah, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week. Yeah,
What day you want to do?
Wednesday. I think we'll do normal Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central. Yeah, Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central.
Standard
12
time.
p.m. Central. Okay, yeah, I was making sure I was saying Central. All right. Anyway, yeah, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.